Usually when we think about the future of technology, specifically things like the next generation of batteries or the race for global technological dominance, we picture these highly sterile
Oh,
environments.
absolutely. Like, we picture engineers in clean suits, massive particle accelerators, or maybe Silicon Valley boardrooms just filled with venture capitalists.
Right, exactly. We expect the solution to be purely mathematical, right? Completely divorced from human emotion or morality or age, for that matter.
Yeah, it's a very mechanical view of progress. We tend to separate the human condition from the hardware we build, treating them as two completely non-overlapping domains.
Like they exist in two different worlds.
Right. The assumption is always that a better battery requires, well, better chemistry, not better people.
But what if the next leap in quantum technology actually depends on the moral purity of senior citizens in South Korea?
I mean, that is the wild, mind-bending framework we are dissecting today.
Yes, welcome to another custom-tailored deep dive made especially for you. Today, we are unpacking a highly integrated lecture delivered on May 9, 2026, in Hwaseong, South Korea. And the premise here completely vaporizes that clean division between human philosophy and hard science.
It really does. Our mission today is to map out this specific worldview. We're looking at a deeply connected framework that starts with the sociological crisis of our aging population, moves into adapted physical disciplines, and somehow logically bridges that human behavior to the actual physical engineering of next-generation infrastructure.
Which forces a complete reevaluation of how progress actually works. I mean, if we look at society right now, there's a pretty stark diagnosis we have to grapple with first.
Yeah, very stark diagnosis.
The argument presented in the source is that modern society is fundamentally lacking order. It's chaotic.
And not for the reasons you might think.
Exactly. The root cause of this chaos isn't a lack of funding, and it isn't a lack of regulation. The source claims the chaos exists because society is missing true adults or elders to actually guide it.
Yeah. And to really understand this, we have to look at the linguistic and cultural distinction being made in the text.
Right, the Noin-ho versus Orion-ho thing.
Exactly. In Korean society, there are established groups for older individuals called Noinho, which translates essentially to senior citizens groups. But this framework is deeply, deeply critical of that entire concept.
It doesn't hold back.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It argues that a Noinho just amounts to gathering aging individuals in a room to pass the time without any real education, purpose, or societal function.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second because the metaphor here is incredibly sharp. It's like the difference between a waiting room and a boardroom.
Ooh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. Modern cultures have essentially placed the older generation into a waiting room. We've given them a comfortable place to sit, maybe a television, and asked them to just wait out the clock.
Yeah, just biding their time.
But the source is arguing that for a society to function, those individuals actually need to be sitting in the boardroom of society. They need to be setting the rules, providing direction, and acting as the governing mechanism for the culture.
And think about the actual cost of that lost wisdom. I mean, when you sideline an entire demographic that has decades of lived experience, the societal engine loses its governor.
It just runs out of control.
Exactly. So the proposed solution is that these groups must be fundamentally transformed into Ir-Yunho, meaning adult associations or elders associations.
Which isn't just a simple branding update.
Not at all. In an Ir-Yunho, elders aren't just existing. They are actively learning, debating, and deciding the moral and practical direction for the nation.
And there's a verticality to this responsibility, which I found fascinating. The idea is that true elders have a dual communication channel. They must speak upwards to the heavens and downwards to the youth.
Yes, the communication going upwards is a huge part of this.
But it isn't just a suggestion box. There is a strict quality control mechanism on what the universe actually listens to, right?
Yeah, this is where the concept of Hongik Ingen comes in, which is foundational to this entire lecture.
Hongik Ingen.
Right. It roughly translates to living for the benefit of all humanity. The underlying philosophy is that the universe, or the heavens, only accepts words and prayers spoken by those acting for the greater good.
Wait, so if I'm an elder and I'm praying for my own health, or I don't know, my own family's wealth, that doesn't count.
Exactly. If the communication is rooted in selfishness or personal gain, it carries no weight. It creates friction.
The universe just rejects it.
It rejects it. It is only the unselfish words, the words of a true Hongik Ingen speaking on behalf of society's well-being, that create harmony and flow. And those specific unselfish words are what actually bring order down into a chaotic world.
Okay, so we are asking a demographic that modern society has essentially discarded to suddenly become the active, highly engaged board of directors for humanity.
Right, a massive shift.
They have to communicate with the heavens and guide the youth. Practically speaking, how does society actually pull that off? Because that requires an immense amount of stamina and presence.
Which brings us to a major physical hurdle.
Yeah, how do you prepare for that monumental task when your physical body is naturally degrading?
Well, the framework introduces the concept of social parents.
Social parents. Let's dig into that.
It requires a massive psychological shift.
Mm,
Elders have to transition away from just caring about their biological children. They have to become parents to society itself.
wow.
Yeah. If the working class is struggling or if the youth are lost, the elders must organize to intervene and care for them as if they were their own kids.
That is a huge mental load. But the
Yeah.
physical requirement is where I had a real moment of confusion when I was reading this.
Taekwondo part?
Yes. The argument is that elders need physical energy to speak powerfully, that weak, breathy words don't carry the necessary weight to reach the heavens or influence society. And the proposed solution for this is Taekwondo. Wait, Taekwondo. If I'm an 80-year-old with stiff joints or osteoarthritis, how am I supposed to be doing high kicks and breaking boards?
It's a completely valid reaction, but the practice being described in the lecture strips away everything we associate with modern competitive martial arts.
No, okay.
Yeah, there is no combat, there is no sparring, and crucially, there is no aggressive shouting.
Right, no Haya. That sounds echoing across the park on a Sunday morning.
None at all. Because the objective isn't to defeat an opponent. The objective is to prevent the physical vessel from stagnating.
So it's modified.
Heavily modified. This specific elder taekwondo can be done entirely sitting down or standing very gently. It's designed specifically to prevent joint stiffness.
Ah, that makes much more sense.
The focus is entirely on posture, breathing, and internal mental discipline. It is about drawing yang energy upward and keeping the internal energy circulating. The text argues that physical stagnation leads to mental stagnation, and a social parent simply cannot afford a stagnant mind.
So you have this striking image of elders sitting in perfect, disciplined posture, radiating a quiet, palpable strength.
It's a very powerful visual.
But if they aren't doing the traditional martial arts shouts to expel energy, what is taking the place of that vocalization?
They utilize a specific mantra referred to as the Hongik Sahengdo.
Hongi Sahengdo.
Yes, but it's not a meaningless chant. It is a series of 4 deeply probing questions that these elders must constantly ask themselves, essentially until their last breath.
Right, I have them right here. The questions are, what must I do for my neighbor? What must I do for society? What must I do for the nation? What must I do for humanity?
Imagine the cognitive rewiring that demands.
I mean, it's profound.
Instead of dwelling on physical ailments or feeling left behind by a fast-moving culture, the elder's entire consciousness is forced outward. It is a state of perpetual service and massive societal responsibility.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because the framework takes a massive, almost dizzying leap right about here.
Oh, the pivot to physics.
Yes. We go from a beautiful sociological and psychological practice, elders maintaining their bodies and focusing their minds on helping humanity, to literal hard physics.
It's quite the transition.
Most people would look at an elder breathing on a lawn and think, oh, what a lovely grounding mental health exercise. But the claim here is that this isn't just a nice thought exercise. It is a physical process that alters the universe.
Yeah, we are blending sociology directly into quantum mechanics.
The leap from vocalizing a mantra to emitting quantum energy is staggering. How does chanting on a lawn actually change the physical universe according to the speaker?
Well, we usually think of speaking purely in terms of acoustic physics, right?
Right, like pushing air from the lungs over the vocal cords to vibrate the air molecule.
Exactly. But the logic here reframes human words as direct emissions of quantum energy. And the critical factor is that there are different grades or frequencies to this energy.
Okay, so the words spoken by these true elders, the ones holding that Hongik Ingen mindset, who have stripped away their ego, those words emit a distinctly higher frequency of energy than, say, someone just yelling in traffic.
Precisely. Think of it like a tuning fork.
Okay.
When an elder speaks these unselfish words, they are striking a high-grade energetic tuning fork. That human-generated quantum energy overlaps and harmonizes with the universal energy of nature itself.
Wow.
So even if an elder is sitting entirely alone, speaking to the empty air, they're not just talking to themselves. Their words spread energetic power throughout society.
They become living broadcast towers.
That's the exact mechanism being described. Their words act as a frequency that broadcasts energetic power throughout the entire societal grid.
That is wild.
And the argument goes even further. Without this specific high-grade energy generated by the wisdom of elders, nature itself begins to lose power.
Wait, really? So society isn't chaotic just because of bad economic policy or political corruption. The chaos is actually the result of a literal energetic deficit in the atmosphere.
That is the core of the thesis, yes.
Unbelievable.
The mental discipline of the Hongik Ingen isn't just about being a good person. It's framed as generating a literal power source.
Oh.
If the elders stop broadcasting, the grid goes down.
Which brings us to the most tangible and honestly the most controversial part of this entire worldview.
The tech applications.
Yes, because if this spiritual energy powers the universe, how does it translate to the physical devices we use every day? The framework applies this concept of quantum energy directly to the future of consumer technology and global economics.
This is where the spiritual state of humanity meets the manufacturing floor. The assertion is that the entire globe is currently shifting from an electron-based technological era to a quantum-based era.
Okay, let's use the electric vehicle battery as the prime example because that's what we are all pretty familiar with.
Sure.
Think about the last time you charged an EV or even just your smartphone. You plug it in, you're bound to the wall, and you wait. It takes hours. It's like trying to fill a massive swimming pool using a standard garden hose.
It takes forever.
That is our current electron-based technology. The text refers to this as an era of sweat and toil.
Because it is entirely reliant on forcing a limited physical reaction. But transitioning to quantum-based technology, utilizing that same fundamental high-grade energy we've been discussing, completely changes the physics of the charge.
How so?
Well, to use your analogy, it's no longer about a garden hose. It is like altering the atmospheric pressure so a targeted monsoon drops the exact volume of water directly into the pool all at once.
Oh, wow. And the technical specs laid out here are just staggering.
They really are.
The source claims that a quantum battery will charge in 1 to 3 minutes.
Wow.
For smaller devices, mere seconds.
Seconds.
And the output. An electric vehicle that currently gets maybe 500 kilometers on a full charge will suddenly be able to travel 5,000 kilometers on a single quantum charge.
It is a 10-fold increase in capacity with a near instantaneous charge time.
That's game-changing.
It doesn't just improve cars. It completely rewrites global infrastructure, urban planning, and the entire energy economy.
But, and this is a massive but, there is a catch. This isn't just a natural evolution of science that any well-funded lab in Silicon Valley or Europe can achieve overnight.
No.
The framework points a very specific finger at exactly who has to lead this and exactly when it has to happen.
Right, and it's important to remind you, the listener, just how specific and potentially contentious this geopolitical timeline is. These are the source's specific views.
Absolutely. We are just reporting what's in the text.
Exactly. The year 2026, the exact year this lecture was given, is identified as the inflection point. Up until now, human technology was about struggling to extract power from nature from the bottom up.
The sweat and toil.
Right. But 2026 is the pivot where humanity must start pulling power directly from the higher quantum energy of the universe.
And to pull that off, you can't just throw billions of dollars at engineers. The logic dictates that to move the highest masses of energy like building a 5,000-kilometer quantum battery, you need leaders who possess the highest mass of energy themselves.
Which naturally raises the question, what does a high mass of energy actually look like in a human being, and where are they?
And the argument is unwavering on this point. These leaders are the Hongik Ingen people of South Korea.
Yeah, the lecture asserts that South Korea has culturally and spiritually incubated this specific unselfish density, making them uniquely positioned to act as the catalyst for this quantum revolution.
Which is a huge claim.
It is. And the economic and geopolitical warnings attached to this are severe. The thesis suggests that other nations who are still operating on ego, dominance, or traditional electron-era thinking will try to build this technology through brute force.
Like trying to build a monsoon with a bunch of garden hoses.
Exactly. They will try to force a scientific breakthrough without the necessary spiritual alignment. And the source claims that in doing so, they will waste 10 to 30 years, burning through up to 30 trillion in funds, all chasing a mechanical solution to a spiritual physics problem.
30 trillion. That is an unbelievable amount of wasted resources.
But the text claims that if South Korea embraces this role, If they utilize leaders who understand this integration of human consciousness and technological energy, they could achieve this global breakthrough in just 3 years.
With a fraction of the investment.
Exactly.
Now, 3 years from the 2026 inflection point brings the timeline strictly to 2029. But there's a crucial caveat in the lecture, isn't there?
Yes, the warning. The shift in societal operation must be visible by 2027.
2027.
Right. If South Korea fails to step into this destiny and lead the world energetically by 2027, the warning is that society will become a mess.
So the stakes are incredibly high.
The energetic deficit won't be resolved, and the technological leap will stall. Society will remain trapped in chaos.
It is a phenomenal chain of logic to follow. I mean, you start with the very real, very human problem of senior citizens feeling isolated and useless.
A problem every modern society is facing.
Right. And you address that by redefining them as the Board of Directors for Humanity. They maintain their vitality through seated, mindful martial arts.
And through their unselfish dedication to society, their words generate a high-grade frequency.
A literal quantum power source.
Exactly. A power source that not only brings order to the societal atmosphere, but is the exact requisite energy needed to unlock batteries that charge in seconds and power vehicles across continents.
It demands that we stop looking at the world as a machine made of isolated parts.
Right. The silos are gone.
The aging process, our internal sense of purpose, the literal words we choose to speak into the air, and the technological tools we engineer in our labs. This framework insists they are all part of a single, breathing, highly reactive organism.
Which leaves you, the learner, with a fascinating dilemma to consider as you interact with the modern world. Whether you agree with the physics or the politics of this text, it offers a profound reminder of the interconnectedness of aging, purpose, and the words we put into the world.
It really does.
This framework inextricably links human consciousness to technological efficiency. It suggests our spiritual state dictates our hardware's capabilities.
So here is a final question to mull over.
Yeah, think about this. If the energy of our words dictates the success of our technology, what happens if we actually achieve the mechanics of a quantum battery? If we build the 5,000-kilometer car, but our society is still spiritually operating on a low battery frequency?
Oh, that's a chilling thought.
Can advanced, hyper-efficient technology truly function or bring any real order to a society that has fundamentally forgotten how to be elders?
If the grid requires unselfishness to power it, a mechanical breakthrough alone might just be plugging a supercomputer into a dead outlet.
Exactly.
It definitely makes you look at every device you plug in and every conversation you have with a lot more weight. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a wild ride.
Keep asking questions, keep exploring, and we will catch you next time.